So good morning, everyone, and welcome to Shakti Flow. Let's take a moment to center and connect. So I like to sit on my favorite spot, close my eyes, and take a nice deep breath. That signals to my mind and my body that I'm in a different state. I'm in an internal present state rather than an outward busy state. And as you take those couple of breaths into the belly and you start to feel yourself settle in, just become aware of anything that's present. Noticing the body settling more and more, and the mind will settle once the body settles and the breath deepens. And as we travel through class today, there's like a lighthearted intention that we can bring to our practice. And it's called looking for the glimmers or the glitters, whichever way you like to think about it, the little sparkly moments that happen throughout the day that we may notice and then we just forget about it. We don't even pay any attention. And the glimmers or the glitters are not the triggers, not the negatives that we tend to attach to. Yeah. It's the normal state of our mind to do that, to look for danger and make sure we're safe. But as we practice today, let's look for the glimmers. Let's look for the glittery moments. And then really notice those and hold on to those. And from here, bring your hands to your heart. And before we get moving on the mat, I want you to keep your hands at your heart center. As you inhale, open your hands and squeeze your shoulder blades together so the palm is facing forward. And then as you exhale, let your hands float back to center. So your breath, your rhythm. Inhaling, squeezing shoulder blades. Exhaling, bring your hands back to center. And you don't have to try to make this like slow motion yogic breath. You can move in your own way. We're bringing the energy of the breath around the heart, prana, moving the prana around the heart and the chest, waking up these shoulders, shoulder blades. Inhaling, squeeze shoulder blades, exhaling. Now just a little change here. As you inhale, tip your chin up. And as you exhale, tip your chin down. Inhale, tip your chin up. And exhale, tip your chin down. So moving a little movement of the head right from the axis, not necessarily from the spine. You're just starting to become aware of this energy and maybe stickiness around the upper body. And now the last phase of this is to let your body and your back round, and then let your body and your back arch. So exhaling round, sort of like cat pose. Inhaling, arch. And what I want you to notice in the last couple rounds here is, do you have any sticky spots? Like I can feel one in my body as I round my back, probably from my 2 hours in the car I had this morning. Last time around, and then pause. Notice any energy or sensations around the upper body. Noticing maybe the breath is a little deeper. Noticing the glimmers. Take a nice deep breath. And as you exhale, hands can release, eyes can flutter open. I'm going to make sure everybody's muted just so that we can. All righty. All right, so let's go ahead and start on the mat. we just did a little bit of flossing or a little bit of warming up, if you will, to the upper body. So let's do it to the lower body now. And we did a little bit of this last week. So I want you to sit on your bottom, bring your feet wide apart. And we're going to let the knees just kind of rock side to side. So if you lean back on your hands, feet wide, just let your knees just go from one side to the other. And I want you to notice any tension, any stickiness. What might be going on from right hip to left hip. And you know, this motion makes your bottom scooch forward. So every time you feel like you're getting away from yourself, just scooch back. Now we're going to change this up just a little bit. Stay on one side. And the leg that's resting on the side, I want you to push into the floor. Push hard, and then start to lift this other leg up. Can you see my knee lifting and lifting and lifting? And then I'm going to get to this range where I can't go any farther. Then I'm going to release it and go to the other side. Okay? So push down on the leg that's on the floor, and then let this top leg start to lift up. Like you're going to open it. Go where you can go, but don't let that bottom leg move. When you can't go any farther, let your whole thing tip over. So push, lift, float. And everybody's got their own little range here. What I'm trying to do is open up some of those little baby muscles that can keep us sticky. Let's do a couple more. So press down into the bottom leg so you can lift the top leg with intention and then let it come across. Push. And you might notice that your leg is actually lifting higher and higher as you go. One more time on the other side. Push. Good. And then release it. Perfect. Now from here, go into zigzag. So your one leg is in front of the other. Can you see? And I'm going to work over this front knee. So I'll turn so you can see me. Back leg is down and open, however you want it to be. Front leg is out in front of you. Hands are going to be balancing you because you can see how I could fall over. So I want you to move over your leg and then push down with your leg to come up. So it's very similar to what we were just doing, only it's a weight-bearing action now. Push down. So light fingers, please. Push down. Now, from here, see if you can take your hands off the floor and keep going. Push down to lift up. If this back hip is in your way, adjust your back leg so that you don't have this problem back here. Focus all on your front leg. Push. So these are warm-up moves for your hip and your gluteal muscles. We did this last week. Push. And last one. And I find this hard today. I think it's because I've been sitting for 2 hours in the car. Yeah? And then go ahead and twist towards that side so that you're both hands on the opposite side of the floor, and go up and down here. So down and push and down. And I don't know if I said this last week, but when you sit for a long period of time and these glute muscles become a little bit inactive, can you feel how you're bending your elbows right by your sides? You're like doing kind of a weird little simple push-up idea. One more time. The action that usually bothers you is in your knees. Go ahead and switch your sides. So now I'm leaning on my other hip. I've got my other leg back behind me, and I'm going to work over this front knee. So lifting chest, coming forward, and then pushing through fingers to come up. So I'm leaning on this other leg and coming up and down. And so you can modify this however you like, but I want you to be able to feel your buttocks muscles as you're going up and down. Now take your hands away and try to do it without. Pushing down through the leg as you come up. That's the work. Down through the leg as you come up. And you want to adjust your foot. So the closer it is to you, the easier, the further away it is, the harder. Find some kind of sweet spot. Good. And down. And push. You have an easier side? I know I do. Last time. Push down to lift up. Good. And with that long spine, now just turn so your hands are on the other side of your leg. You're going to plant your palms straight down and now start to lower your chest by bending your elbows and pushing straight up. Think about chaturanga push-ups where your elbows are going in line with your wrists, and you're doing a little bit of a push-up kind of action. Lower down and push away. Good. And lower down. And one more time, just nice and smooth, lowering down and pushing away. Great. Now just pick yourself up and come into tabletop. Hands are underneath your shoulders. Open your fingers. Grip your mat with your fingertips. Toes turned under. Cat and cow here, lifting tailbone, eyes, and heart. Flip your feet, tailbone down and head down. Really round the back here. Feeling and sensing into whatever is present. Noticing anything that feels sticky. And then look for the glimmers. Maybe this feels really good to your body right now. Good. All right, and from here, come down onto your forearms. Elbows are in line with your shoulders. Hands are in line with your elbows. Stay here. Take a breath and draw the belly in slightly, but not so much to round the back. And we're going to press off our hands to come into this angled position and then lower back down. Push. Now this I do often. It's a really nice exercise for the triceps. And you can rest on the bottom every single time and then come back up. Or you can kind of tap the floor and come back up so that there's not a lot of rest time. If it feels too hard, bring your elbows closer to you. If it feels too easy, bring your hands forward so there's more weight in your arms. Find a sweet spot where you can work. And slow and careful. And push. And down. Good. So working in the arms right away. Taking a moment just to really notice and sense and feel the back of your arm, the tricep, the big part of your arm. It's actually the biggest part of your arm. All right, one more time and then land on the floor. Make sure your knees are closer together for this next round. Your right foot's going to come straight back and up. So thinking about the glutes again, as you exhale, cat pose, round your knee towards your head, and then press your leg away and look forward at your hands. Round and pull, and up and squeeze your right buttocks. Round and pull. And notice if you're not leaning on your left leg kind of sideways. Try to keep your left leg stacked. Round and pull. And up. One more time. Round and pull. And up. Now stay there. Really engage your leg. Can you feel the muscles of your quads and glutes working together? Release your leg. Switch sides. Left foot comes to the floor. You're going to inhale, lift the leg up without rotating the pelvis. Exhale, knee in, head in, round, and up, and look at your hands. So rounding the back, and not necessarily arching the back, but think about extending the spine instead. Using your left glute now. And as I mentioned last week, if you have a little bit of that gluteal amnesia, the muscles just don't really fire very well. They feel a little bit like they're not working, which they're not. One more time. Curl in. and push away. Now stay there and really feel that. Can you get that left buttocks working? And then release down, toes to the floor, pick your other foot up, and now we're in a forearm plank. Stay here and breathe. Pay attention to drawing the energy in towards the legs, lifting up through the pelvic floor and belly. One more breath. Exhale, hips down, and come into Sphinx pose. Yay! All right, from here, this is easy to feel. Press down through the toenails so you feel your kneecaps come off the floor, and then engage the glutes here. So you've got a little bit more activity going on in the leg. You're not necessarily just resting. Take one more breath here. Good. Exhale, lower down and slide your hands right next to your ribs. Remember, the elbows are close to the body. We're going to exhale, lift the belly and push through your arms and come straight up and find your way to your first downward facing dog. Remember, downward facing dog is your rest. It's also an opportunity for you to check in. We could call this the glimmers. This is a glimmer moment. You get to do downward facing dog. All righty. From here, can you take a little walkabout to the front of your mat? And when you get to the front of your mat, soften your knees, release your head and shoulders. Make fists with your hands and slowly make circles. So a nice circle wrist around the wrists. Letting your head go, so look behind you. That'll lengthen the back of the neck. Okay, from here, keep your knees soft. Lift your spine halfway up and reach to the wall behind you. Palms up. So nice straight spine. Exhale, release and let it go. Reach back, inhale, heart forward, hands reach back. Exhale, let it go. Last time here. Reach forward with your head, reach back with your fingers. Stay here. Now we're going to reach back with the hips and lean back so you've got your arms out in front of you. And then reach back with the hands behind you. So there's a little shift in your upper body when you come to chair pose, and then a little shift downward when you come with the hands behind you. Moving a little bit from your hips, not too far. One more time. Stay here in chair pose. Lift your toes. Shoulders are on your back. Palms down. Breathe. Belly strong. Inhale, stand. Arms stay right along your ears here. Hook your thumbs and try to pull your thumbs apart. Bring your thighs so that they're like squeezing together. Take your glutes into a contracted position, pushing your pelvis slightly forward, and see what happens in the freedom of your upper body. So the thumb pulling helps your upper back get involved. The glutes pushing help getting your glutes involved. And belly in helps getting the front body involved. Exhale, release, and come to Tadasana. So what I'm hoping you felt there is that this activity pushing the pelvis forward actually lifts the upper body more up so you don't get jammed up in your lower back. Okay, we're going to work a little bit more in the upper arms. You can choose a light or a medium weight. I'm going with a light weight. I don't want to exhaust myself before I go get my body work done. Okay. I'm going to go back to that same action we were doing, only this time with your feet all the way together. So your shoulders are on your back. If you have shoulder issues and your palms are down, it bothers you, turn your thumbs up. Okay, that's just a suggestion. So sitting in chair pose, arms out in front of you. I have my thumbs inward or palms down, but you can turn them up either way. And then hinge from your hips and push your hands straight back behind you. Hinge back to chair. Now I'm going to change this a little bit, and you can decide if you want to do this or not. This is the easiest kind of position. And then when we come here, you could straighten your legs, making it a little bit more challenging. Bend and scoop. And back and press, straighten. Bend and scoop. straighten if you like. So the straightening adds another level. You don't necessarily have to do that. It just asks for a different action. Now we worked on this other part last week. I want to do it today. You work where you think you can. So we're going to start here. If your legs are almost straight, that's fine. If they're all the way straight, that's fine. You're going to release down to the floor to round your spine, and then you're going to come back up. Release and come back up. So I don't want you to go anywhere where your back says no. If that's the case, I want you to bend your knees. If you can do it with straight legs, do it with straight legs. And push. So you're rounding your back, and then you're pushing, so you're extending your spine. One more time. And push. Now stay here, soften your knees, bend your elbows and press. Bend your elbows and press. Palms are to the sky or hands are turned sideways. Legs are squeezing together. Okay, so you're forward towards the floor a little bit more than you would in chair pose. Working for your triceps again, we're back there. Push. Okay, we're going to do one more series. I want you to turn your hands sideways now. Everybody do that. You're going to stand and bring your arms straight up along your ears. And then bend and bring your arms straight up along your body again. Slow and controlled. Working in shoulders. Up. And bend. Nice and slow. And bend. And you're working with a weight that works for you. My weights are light only because I did a pretty strong workout yesterday. So I'm a little sore. Plus I've got body work today. So remember, you have to work with where you're at. One more time. All the way up. And all the way back. Good. Come to center and rest. Put your weights down for a second. And come to the middle of your mat. Whenever I ask you to do a little series, once you figure out what's going on, I want you to choose a weight where you feel fairly challenged. Don't stay with a light weight because that doesn't really do anything. All right, so let's start with a lateral movement. So I want you to be wide on your mat. Arms are going to be open. And you're going to take a step out to the left and then bend that knee as you touch the floor with your fingers. Come back up and step. Other side, big wide step. Bend that knee as you touch the floor. Come back up and step. So try it in tempo. Step, down, up, together. Step, down, up, together. And if you're on the length of your mat like I am, try to use the entire length rather than taking a super low or a super shallow step. And you're only bending the leg that you're leaning over on. The other one's straight. Step, down. Good. One more. Step, down, up, and together. Keep your arms up. Turn your palms open and palms to the ceiling. I'm going to turn. So we're going to take the right foot, step it back about halfway, not all the way down. And then you're going to come towards the floor and touch the floor. Come back up and step. Other step. Come down, come up, and step. So you notice how I'm bending both knees, and I'm leaning over my front leg on purpose. The back leg is there, I'm bending it, but I'm not trying to work it. I want to work the front leg. Up, touch, and I'm thinking pinky side of my hand comes together at the bottom, and the thumb side of my hand comes to the ceiling at the top. One more time. And down and up and rest. Good. Rest your arms. Now, I want to do all of that again with weight in your hands. Okay, so you got to decide. If you don't have a light enough weight to hold your arms out here like this the whole time, bring your hands to your chest. So you might do a couple out here, you might do a couple in here. Alrighty? Let's start with the wide one first, and then you can decide. Shoulders on your back. I don't want this to go in your neck at all. So if you're holding your arms out here and it's too hard, your weight's too heavy, bring your weights to your chest. Ready? Here we go. Step, land, up, together. Step, land, and my palms are facing each other. Step. And so if you feel like, oh my God, that's too much on my shoulders, when you come up, bring your hands to your chest. So step, down, up, and together. So I made it modified when I brought my hands to my chest. Okay? Last two, down, up, together, step, down, up, together. So palms open, thumbs to the sky. Step back, tap, up, and together. Step back, tap, up, and together. So I want all the work in your front leg, but I want your back leg to be able to bend and do this work. Thumbs are to the sky, pinkies touch at the bottom. Same rule applies. If it's too hard, weights are at your chest, and you touch the floor from there. Step, touch. Let's do one more on each leg. Step, touch, up, together. Step, touch, up, and pause. Great. Set your weights down. Alrighty, come to the top of your mat. Take a moment here, Tadasana. Palms down, arm palms open. Rooting down into the earth. Bring that energy up through the crown of the head. Feeling and sensing. You can hear my breathing is elevated. All right, from here, we're going to go through just a little balance, a little break here. Right leg is going to step back into crescent pose. So crescent pose means that your back knee can be soft or straight. Front knee stays over front ankle. Feet are neutral distance apart, not behind each other. Then take your arms up over your head. And then pressing through your back leg. Can you feel your back leg glute fire? I want you to be able to feel that. Stay here. Now here's the harder part. Take your right hand forward and your left hand backwards and twist open. Now I'm still trying to work this back hip. I still have my front knee right over my front ankle and I'm twisted open. Okay, arms are reaching in both directions. Inhale, come up. Hands to your heart center. Shift forward. And then as you press into your standing leg, lift the back leg. So you're in a very baby warrior 3. Toes are towards the floor. Right glute is working. Inhale, right knee to chest. Stands tall on that left leg. Take a breath here. Exhale, hands down, feet down. Other leg steps back. Crescent pose here. The most important thing is if you feel super wobbly, take your stance a little wider. Knee over ankle, back knee can be soft, but if you push through your back leg, I want you to feel this buttocks working. Arms up over your head. Feel and sense from the back foot all the way up, getting a little bit longer, a little bit more space. Stay here. And now see if you can bring your left hand forward and your right hand back for the twist here. Now when you do that, you're going to lose your left glute. Keep focusing there. And your hands are reaching in 2 opposite directions. Front knee right, whoops, over front ankle. Whoops. Good thing I have a wall. One more breath here. And then release and come hands to heart. Shift your weight forward and push into your standing leg, lifting the back leg just a little bit. It doesn't have to be high. Press down and use that back leg buttocks too. Inhale, left knee to chest. Working on balance, which stabilizes the legs. One more breath. Exhale and release and let it go. The glute medius, the muscle that's out here, not back here, is what actually helps our pelvis to stay level so that we don't wiggle. And when we pick up a leg, we don't do that motion. Okay, super important that we get that stronger. And if you have trouble with balance, we'll work on this a little in a bit, but that might be the problem. Okay, now let's go to a heavier weight, whatever that is for you. And we're going to work with stationary legs, but busy upper body. Okay, so I want you to come to a comfortable wide stance, and we're going to come into a warrior two stance. Okay, warrior two. Knee over ankle, and your back foot, you could even maybe say warrior one. So I want you to turn enough so that you can get forward like we were doing earlier this morning. And then I want you to come over this front leg. Now, if this is too much, I want you to go to two legs and do it in a squat. So arms are next to your front foot. You're going to row up and down and up and down. My hands are in neutral, pull and down. Shoulder blades squeeze. Remember that from the beginning. Back foot rooted into the mat, squeezing and activating your right glute or your back leg glute. Pull up and down, nice and smooth. Up and down and up. And one more. And up and down. Now, set your weights to the floor. If you've got a hold of them, and you can, take your front foot back so you're in a plank pose. If you can't hold your weights, put your hands on the floor. So we're in plank pose here, taking a moment, feeling and sensing the whole body, and then allow the knees to drift down. And if you don't have your weights, grab them now. From here, row one arm up and down, row other row up and down. So you're just going one at a time. And if you can't really hold your weights and do this back and forth, you could stay on one arm and do a series of 5 or 6 and then do the other arm. So try to keep your body still without moving around a lot. Last 2 on each side. Rowing works the rear shoulder and the upper back. Core body's engaged. Good. Now, whatever foot you had forward, take the other one forward and come off your back leg and land. So now we're on the other side. Knee over ankle. This time turn your palms forward and lift yourself up so your spine is nice and long. And row this way. So my palms are forward. Row and down. Keep going. So you want to keep your lower body or your upper body kind of parallel to the floor as much as you can. And you're squeezing and pulling those shoulder blades together. And you're over one leg, which is pretty challenging. And down. Try not to go too fast. Remember, if one leg feels too hard, do 2. Last one. All right, hands go to the floor again. Step back again. So this time we're going to stay in plank and maybe your feet go wider. You can do this with or without weight. And if you're doing it with weight, you're just going to do the same thing you did before. Row and down and row and down. So if you're not doing it with weight, you just pick your hand up and down and up. And what you're trying to do is not move your pelvis. Try not to move your pelvis. This is really hard, so if it's too hard, knees back down. We did it the easy way the first time. Last 2. And then go ahead and put your knees down on the mat And let go of your weights if you're holding them. Stretch your arms out in front of you and take a little breather. Hands are reaching, hips are reaching back, fingers are reaching forward. Giving yourself a moment here. And then coming up into a upright seated position, and your decision here how you want to sit. I can sit on my feet and it doesn't bother me, but if it bothers your knees, please sit up with a block or something between your feet on under your sitting bones. So we're going to isolate the biceps here to get a little bit more oomph, if you will. So pick up a weight that you can manage. I'm just working with my 6s here. Shoulders are on your back. I'm going to start with neutral position arms, and I'm going to come straight up to touch my shoulder and straight down toward the floor. So hopefully your arms aren't longer than your torso and your hands don't touch the floor. If that's the case, bring yourself up a little higher. And okay, one more like this. And now I want you to rotate at the top. Okay, so you start with the sideways hands, you rotate and take the end of the weight towards your shoulder and back down nice and slow. Curl. Now remember, I say this all the time. Our bicep muscles are really used to picking up a lot of weight. So don't be too gentle with yourself. The next time we come up, I want you to keep your palms rotated open, and you're going to go straight down and back up again. Down and up. Now the up position, where you're up by your shoulder, that's actually a rest. So notice what you're doing. Now I'm going to switch this around a little bit. So Susie, you stay where you need to be. When you come down, turn your hands all the way around and come up all the way around. Down all the way around, so palms face backwards, up all the way, so palms face your shoulders. Down, chest is lifted, shoulders are on your back. Last time here, we've got 4 more to do, and this time we're going to keep the palms facing backwards the whole way. Ready? Lift, back of the hand to your shoulder. Lower, palms backward. Lift, back of the hand to your shoulder. Slow and lower backward. So if you could do all of this and you're not that tired, your weight's too light. You want to have it fairly strong. And down and rest. Good. Set your weights away. Come forward so that you're off your bottom and turn your toes under. So we're going to do a little bit of a drill. If you've got a block behind you, take it away. This again is to test the range of motion for not the knees, but the hips. So fingers on the floor, lift, see if you can be here. And then see if you can touch the floor with your knees. And then come back up. You see how I'm using my fingers to help me. So tap the floor with your knees and come back up. Can you do that? Tap the floor with your knees and come back up. One more time. Tap and up. Now stay here, fingers laid on the floor. Unfold your legs so that they're straight. And then fold back down. Unfold. And fold back down. So people that have had knee surgery of any kind or a knee injury of any kind, this can be a little bit hard. But if you don't have any kind of that going on and your knees just hurt, usually it's because you have some kind of weakness going on. Now let's do it together. See if we can do one more set. Tap the floor, lift, and unfurl yourself. Down, tap the floor, lift, and unfurl. One more time. Tap the floor, up, and unfurl. Good. Stay here and rest in a forward fold, pausing, letting go of your head, neck, and shoulders. You might want to even take your hands to the back of your body and interlace your fingers. Come halfway up and then bring your arms straight. See if you can lift your hands and let your head come down. Bending both knees a little bit here. Straighten your right leg and twist open to the right. So you're twisting your chest open to the right. Your hands are trying to go to the ceiling. Your right leg is straight. Your left leg is bent. Switch your sides. Left leg straight. Left twist open. Reaching the hands high. Come back to center. Lift hands higher. Head lower. Release down. All right, from here, walk forward. You're going to come into your plank pose again. And then knees on the floor with your elbows right next to your body. Lower yourself down. So from here, I want you to keep your hands next to you. You're not going to really use them here. So don't worry about where they are exactly, but just think about your shoulder blades and your elbows being in. So turn your toes under. Press through both feet so that your kneecaps come off the floor. And can you feel your buttocks tighten? From here, see if you can point your toes and keep all of that action. Can you? From here, lift your hands, chest and head. So we're doing locust pose, but very, very focused. So I'm going to go down and up here. So lower down and then lift back up. Use your glutes. Use your shoulder blades. Lift back up, squeeze. Lower down, lift back up. And you might notice you're going higher, and that's because your back body's turning on more. One more time, and up. Good, pause on the floor for a minute, head down. Take a breath or two. And then we're gonna work with a different leg position, different arm position. Alrighty. So take your knees a little wider apart, bring your feet up to the ceiling, touch just your heels, not your whole foot, just your heels. And press into your heels. Can you feel your muscles activate here, going all the way up to the glutes? Take your hands down to the floor, next to you, palms down. So squeeze heels, pubic bone to the floor, lift chest, hands, and head off the floor. Now, I don't want you to think about going high. I want you to think about coming towards each other, fingers and feet. So lower down, press and lift, maybe hands and feet come closer. Lower down, press and lift, hands and feet come closer. I can't touch yet. Lower down, lift, hands and feet closer. Where am I? There I am. And lower down and up. Hold this one. See if you can touch your foot, but don't grab it. I can't touch this morning. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Lift, lift, lift. Exhale, lower down and rest. Again, when I did that exercise yesterday with or 2 days ago, I guess it was, with my class, I could touch my feet. So it tells you the implication of sitting in a chair shape for a couple of hours straight without getting up. That's a big deal. Go ahead and let your head rest on your let's say right arm. Pick up your left foot and reach around and grab it. Give it a little pull with your pubic bone toward the floor, just opening up your quadricep. And then pressing with your foot to straighten your arm. Let that lift your chest and head, but keep your right arm where it is. So I don't want to necessarily take you into a big back bend today. Just be here, activating your quadricep. You'll see your glutes firing also. Exhale, heel down, head down, and pause. Release the leg carefully. Switch your sides. Head is on your arm. And you want to gently draw the heel towards the hips, but make sure your pubic bone is rooted towards the floor and not popping up towards the ceiling. And then as you push into your foot into your hand, you'll straighten your arm, and then that will lift you up like a little lever. And stay here. Pay attention to the leg you got a hold of and the glute that's working. Take one more breath. Exhale, pull the foot towards your buttocks, land. See if you have any more range. One last breath here. And then let go carefully. Alrighty. So rolling over onto your back body. Finally, we haven't been here all class. Once you're down, I want you to bend your knees, pick your pelvis up and reset yourself so that you feel pretty stable. If you've got your weights close to you, grab them. You can use one weight or two. We're going to go back to tricep work. So I'm just going to use one because, again, I'm trying to work a little bit more light today. Both hands around one or both weights. You're going to take it to the ceiling. Shoulders are down on the floor. I want you to bend your elbows so that your hands go right over the top of your head and then push away. Bend and push away. Slow and controlled, noticing what your spine is doing, noticing what your core body is doing. Okay, now with this long arm, soft elbows, let's go back behind you. Can you go back there? And then pull back where you were. And then go back. This is one of my favorite exercises. You got to use a heavy weight in order for it to really get where it needs to go. It's around the chest wall and around the upper back, along with the triceps. Now bend once and push up, and then reach back and straighten once and push up. So one of each for 4. And again, I'll remind you, at the end of 12 reps, if you're not tired, if your muscles aren't really talking to you, you're being way too nice to yourself. Got to activate these muscles in a way so that they actually release the chemistry that they need to for your whole well-being. Last time, reaching back and up and bend and up. Good. Bring your weights down. Let them rest by you. Take your hands behind your head and see if you can press your elbows to the mat. So some of you may have shoulder stuff and that won't work, but try to open your elbows as much as you can. And if they're on the floor, push them into the mat. Notice where your lower back is, finding your neutral. You know where it is by now. And then bring your legs up so your knees are right up over your hips and your feet are like you're sitting in a chair. So right away, notice, did you let go of your elbows? Can you hold on to your neutral spine? And then press your right leg away from you as far as you can and still hold your elbows and your spine still. Bring it back into center, nice and slow. And then take left leg out, push away from you, keeping spine and elbows active. Good, and up. Now keep your legs up. You can do that same thing again, or you can lift your head up, but keep your elbows open. Do it again. Press your right leg down and away. You can be on the floor or you can be elevated like I am. Come back to center. Remember, your elbows are open. Push away. And back to center. Good. Rest. Hands to knees. Give them a little hug. A little rock. Remember, don't pull too hard. It's a gentle movement for your lower back. All righty. One more little bit here. So take your legs where they were. I like to touch my feet, but you don't have to. We're going to take the hands behind the head. Try to keep the elbows open and lift your head up. Now, the common thing is to pull. I don't want you to do that. I want you to think about rotating. So take your left elbow to the floor and your right elbow will tip up. Can you feel that? And now take your right arm, leg away. So left elbow's on the floor, right elbow's open, right leg's away. Come back to center. Right elbow to the floor if you can. Left elbow open, left leg away. So it's harder on one side than the other, you might notice. Come back to center. Now, left elbow down, right elbow up, press your left leg away. Keeping your lower back centered, keeping your focus. Back to center. One more. Right elbow down, left elbow open, right leg pushes away. And back to center. Rest. Knees to chest. Gentle pull, remember. Now, if that went into your neck, that's because you were using your neck to strain to try and get that to happen. Better to be on the floor. All right, feet down. I want you to take your right ankle over your left knee. Press a little bit into your right ankle. Can you feel the outer leg activate? From there, lift your left foot and hold so that you're doing your nice little hip stretch. And as you press your ankle into your left thigh or knee, don't do it as hard as you can, but do it so you can feel it. And then see, can you pull a little bit deeper into the stretch? You might move just a millimeter, a tiny little bit, but just notice if that happens. One more breath. And then release your left foot down, but keep the cross. Just close the cross. Hips go to the right, legs go to the left. Right arm stretches away from you. Look at your right hand. Breathing into this right hip. Now you're into your right lower back a little bit. So just go easy if that's one of your areas. And remember, the right hip is trying to stay away from the right ribs. One more breath. Inhale, come back up. Uncross and bring your hips back to the center. Left ankle over right leg. Pressing left ankle into the leg a little bit and then bring the leg towards you. Hold your right leg somewhere and keep pressing the left ankle a little bit as you start to draw the stretch a little deeper. So we're pressing into the left ankle, activating those outer hips and outer legs as you pull. So we're lengthening and strengthening at the same time, really healing. One more breath. And then lower down. Pick your hips up and move them over to the left and close your leg all the way. And then letting yourself twist to the right. Left arm open, eyes to the left. Breathe here. Remember that when there's something that's super tight in your body, and because I'm at the hips here, I'm going to use that as an example. It means that there's usually a weakness. There's lots of muscles in the buttocks and the glutes, lots and lots, not just two. Good. Inhale, come back up. Uncross your legs and bring yourself back to the center. So it really is helpful for you to learn what it is that's weak for you. Breathing. Last little finish here, feet together, knees together, arms are just going to rest. I want you to lift off your bottom by pushing down through your feet. Your feet should be underneath your ankles. Roll to the outer edges of your feet so that your knees are open, and you're using now your outer hips and outer legs. Close and then tap the floor. Up. This is very much like that elbow lift that we were doing in the very beginning, and I said you could rest on the floor in between, or you could tap the floor and keep the action going. So we're finishing this off with like a
working the small muscles in the inside of the hip and inner groin. I like this. It feels a little bit like a flossing to me, like there's a letting go of the stickiness. I'll call this a glimmers. This is a glittery moment. Even though it might feel challenging, there's something inside of me that says, God, this feels really good. And you want to do quite a few of these, not just one or two. Do enough so that you feel like it's really doing something. I'm going to do one more. Good. And then rest down. One last little knee pull, but don't do it hard. Your knees can be apart or they can be together. You can rock a little bit side to side. And then when you feel ready, I want you to put your feet down and go ahead and move yourself to Shavasana. Legs down, let them be a little bit wider than neutral. Hands open, a little bit away from the body so that the energy can flow. Feel free to cover yourself up or support your legs. And once you find your quiet spot, I want you to take a nice deep breath. Remember that signal to the body, exhale into stillness.
Take a longer and deeper breath. Slowly starting to move your body, stretch, coming back. And as you feel ready, you can bend your knees. Rolling over to a side. Stay for a breath or two and then coming up to sitting. Once seated, bring your hands to your heart center. Closing the practice as we always do with gratitude for our time together on the mat. Our deep body wisdom and guiding light. May our light always shine brightly, and may we always see the light in each other. Namaste.